Good afternoon. I'm Bob Mascali, Chair of the Falmouth Select Board.
And I'm Mike Renshaw, Town Manager.
Well, thank you for joining us. Today is December 18th, and we are filming at the studio of Falmouth Community TV, and thank them for giving us the opportunity to speak to the residents of the town of Falmouth, give you a little bit of an update on what's been going on at the Select Board over the past couple of weeks. We missed our show last week, so we're going to try and catch you up from our meeting of December 1st. But before I do, Mike, the Select Board has been involved in a process that we go through every year, and that is taking a look at our strategic plan, town-wide, what we're looking to do and how we're looking to do it, goals and so forth. You want to just give us a little bit of an update as to where we are in that process?
Sure, that's right, Bob. Every year, as you said, we do an annual review. This is the first year since I've been here, certainly, where we've done a really in-depth dive. We decided to hire a consultant to come in and help us out. And this exercise was spread over the course of 3 workshops. We just had the third workshop on December 7th. And it really gave the Select Board an opportunity to work with an outside set of eyes, so to speak, to come in and help guide us through the process of looking at making the goals and objectives more measurable, more objective, which is going to really assist us going forward in monitoring and measuring our progress towards achieving the Select Board goals.
Yeah, well, I've been involved with 2 of the other strategic plans since I've been on the board, but this session that you started, and with our consultant, very impressed at the input from all the Select Board members. I think we've really made the prior strategic plan was certainly a good one, but I think we're getting a little bit into the depth of it more with some measurable goals, and I think we'll be very satisfied with that end product that we'll be getting from our consultants.
I think so. I think the plan is going to be a lot more effective going forward, having these goals be more objective and measurable.
Great, wonderful. So we had our meeting on December 1st, and a couple of rather important things we discussed at that meeting. And the first one I want to touch on is the beach nourishment, the surf drive report from our consultant, the Horsley Witten Group, and their recommendations. You want to mention a little bit about that?
Sure. The feasibility study looked at the entirety of Surf Drive, well, about 1.7 miles of Surf Drive from about Oyster Pond Road right up until the bathhouse on Surf Drive. What was recommended, ultimately, there were 3 or 4 different strategies that could be used. As the consultant kind of led us through the discussion, what we found throughout the course of that feasibility study was that our options are somewhat limited. With regards to shorebirds, protecting shorebirds and some of the vegetation. Full nourishment of the beaches and enhancing the dunes was a bit limited. Ultimately, what was recommended by both the consultants and our coastal resiliency specialist was to a methodology called targeted nourishment. Looking at very specific, the most vulnerable areas, stretches along that 1.7 miles of Surf Drive. And Oyster Pond and Surf Drive, we have a lot of infrastructure, water and sewer infrastructure along the entire stretch. But there's some key areas within that segment that we're going to focus on targeted nourishment of the dunes.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned our coordinator, our coastal resiliency person, Josh Wrigley. He's been a wonderful addition to the staff, and certainly there's been a lot of talk over the years about Surf Drive and its problems, but I think now we're finally making some inroads and some plans to actually address those problems going forward. As you say, they came with 4 possibilities, ranging from doing absolutely nothing,
right,
and doing a major nourishment, which read in the paper about Sandwich, and they spent a lot of money, and they expected it would help them for 5 years, and it lasted about a year, because you could just never know, obviously, with the oceans and the climate. So, but we're making good progress, absolutely. And then the Falmouth Country Club. This is something that the residents love. It's very popular, and we were able to We put out an RFP. Peter Johnson Staub was very much involved in that process, along with the Golf Advisory Committee, Kerry Murphy and his committee.
Right.
And we had 3 bidders, one of whom was Troon, the current operator, but their bid was not accepted. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the bid that was accepted?
First, let me start off by saying Peter Johnson Staub, the assistant town manager, did a fantastic job kind of facilitating that process. And this was the second RFP. We did something similar last year. Didn't have any bidders.
Right.
So this was a repeat of sorts, and but did a fantastic job. And the advisory committee, as you mentioned, was heavily involved. 3 outstanding qualified bids. Ultimately, the operation organization entity that we decided to go with, based upon the recommendation of the advisory committee, was Morningstar. They have a couple of courses that I understand on Nantucket. They actually have a course, I believe, in England,
Scotland or England or somewhere
Great
across
Britain.
the pond.
Right across the pond. And kind of a boutique type of a operation, very customer service focused. And I think that was one of the things that impressed the review committee when they were looking at the proposals. Not anything against the previous operator, but the proposal that Morningstar put together very much indicated that they were going to be hands-on and involved and engaged with the golfers, with the customers, and make it a much better experience for golfers.
Yeah, and there was an indication they're going to try and keep staff on,
Correct.
staff that the players, the residents have become familiar with, and hopefully that'll continue. They've also been very take into consideration the youth golf programs. Their bid and the lease provides for times for the high school girls and boys golf teams to be there, and also a 20% discount
for
residents on golf fees. So really a wonderful addition to the town now.
I'm excited about the partnership, and it seems like there's going to be great dialogue and collaboration in regards to capital improvements too going forward. So those plans are still unfolding or being put together, but I think there's going to be a huge opportunity to partner and collaborate with the operator to make those improvements.
Looking forward. So, 2 other matters that we discussed December 1st that also, morphed into our last meeting December 15th the other day. One of them was the East Falmouth Public Library.
Right.
And, there was, considerable community outreach engagement. I think a very large engagement at the early stage, drew about 50 or 60 people, and then a further forum. And why don't you give us a little bit of an update as to where we are in that process?
Sure, a little bit of an overview. So as some folks know already, because this was the second presentation, well, we had a first presentation on December 1st and then a follow-up on the 15th. This was 20% design of the facility itself, looking at constructing the new library facility on the current site where East Falmouth Library is located. There was a lot of good discussion, good dialogue, and good input throughout the 2, I believe, community meetings that were held. Ultimately, the request of the Select Board on the 15th was to move forward and approve submittal of these preliminary designs.
Because we had a deadline.
Because we had a deadline. The application to the State Library Building Authority had to be submitted prior to the end of the calendar year. So the 15th being the last meeting of the year, we were kind of up against that deadline. So the Select Board opted to move forward with approving the preliminary design. A lot of great discussion about how that is very much preliminary, and there can be some details that change with regards to the aesthetics, the appearance. The program, they refer to it, the size of the library based upon community meeting space and collection size, that's pretty much fixed. But the outside appearance, look and feel of the building, so to speak, and the materials are very much open to further discussion.
And one thing that came through at many of the discussion points were that the current library is a homey kind of living room feeling. It was, in fact, a house that was renovated and reconfigured as the library. And I think there are efforts to continue that to make the interior feel that homey kind of place where people want to come and spend some time, read the newspaper, look at some magazines, check out some books, bring the kids. All good reasons for a library, and a community room as well for events. And East Falmouth has a lot of things going on, so it'll be very good to have that kind of a space available in the East Falmouth neighborhood. I'm particularly happy because I just live right down the street from the library. So
I think the architect designer heard loud and clear that we do want to preserve that like you said, the living room kind of home kind of atmosphere or environment, the feel of the space.
And then this is really a testament to you, Mike, and the department heads and your staff putting together a budget, an operating budget that will be part of our April town meeting. Tell us how much work goes into it, and some of the things that didn't maybe quite get in there, in the process for making those decisions.
So we literally just finished up with April town meeting when we started to work on preparing the capital side, and this April, when we started maybe a couple, 3 weeks after that process, we started working on the operational budgets. And it's a lot of work that goes into it. I want to thank all the department heads and the assistant town manager, the finance director specifically, for their work. It's a large budget. We've grown from last year comparatively. It's about 5.8% larger than last year's budget. The issue that we're faced with, and I'll just kind of stick to the high level, we had a lot of, we're experiencing, and we're not unique, it's nationwide and certainly in the Commonwealth, and we're seeing a lot of cost increases with regards to personnel, staffing costs, health insurance. The benefits packages are becoming increasingly expensive. So unfortunately, the situation that we're faced in, we're not looking to add a lot of additional staffing positions, but just keeping up and keeping pace with the increases in cost is a challenge. So what we decided to do to stay within that proposition 2.5% to 2.5% growth in property tax is a revenue stream. We opted to take a look at utilizing some additional excess levy capacity. Typically, the town has about $1.5 million in excess capacity that we can utilize without needing that operational overriding Prop 2.5. Initially, we looked at using about 1.2 million of the 1.5, which was a large draw. The impact of that was going to give us a lot less flexibility going forward, and also result in a nominal property tax increase to the average single-family home in Falmouth. That increase, based upon us utilizing 1.2 million of the excess levy capacity, was about $47 per year. So not significant, but an increase, and we were all trying to avoid that. Ultimately, what we determined, we just found out actually prior to the December 15th meeting, the finance director found out that DOR, Department of Revenue, certified our new growth figure, and it was much higher than what we had initially anticipated. We went into the process with new growth at about $900,000, and it ended up being about $1.6 million. So we're able to basically utilize less of that $1.5 million excess capacity, which has the end impact of reducing that increase in property taxes next fiscal year to about $24, $25. Okay. So not significant.
Well, so and then we discussed it again at our last meeting, and moved it forward to FinCom, Finance Committee.
The important next step, right after the Select Board reviewed, had 2 shots at reviewing kind of a high-level overview of the budget. We got into some particulars, but yes, on December 15th, Select Board opted and voted to transmit the FY27 budget to the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee begins its meetings, I believe, on January 8th. They're going to take a deeper dive into department by department, line by line, looking at the budget.
Okay. Let me just consult my notes here for a moment. Let's see. So we're back now to our most recent meeting, December 15th, just the other evening. And we were talking about something that's very important on everybody's mind, the baseball fields.
Yes, yes.
And we had a very good report from our consultant. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I will, yes. As most folks know, we identified an issue with the John Neal Trotting Park ball fields having been constructed on a abandoned landfill or dump many years ago. Over the course of the past year, we've engaged with two consultants, really. The first was a licensed site professional, LSP, Arcadis, that helped us identify a plan to remediate the soil conditions, the poor soil conditions. So we're currently doing that parallel with working with Gale and Associates, an engineer architectural firm, to redesign the new ball fields. And Peter McConerty, the DPW director, and a representative with Gale, this last meeting on the 15th went through some kind of schematic level diagrams of what the new amenities at the ball fields will look like. We're basically, in effect, we're replacing what was there, the 3 ball fields, with brand new ball fields. But there's some additional seating amenities that I think people are going to be excited about, replacing some dugouts and that sort of thing. So it's going to be an upgrade, I feel. And most importantly, the facility is going to be safe because we're going to remediate those poor soil conditions that were identified.
And the lighting is going to
remain the same.
It's going to be what's there currently.
Exactly. Fields 1 and 2, and most folks know what those are, will remain lit, and that field 3, off to the side, so to speak, of the site, is going to remain a practice field. It will not have lights. And
there have been many complaints over the years about ADA accessibility, handicap spaces, and so forth. And obviously, this new design, this new plan, is going to make everything compliant with respect to accessibility.
Important point. Yes, there's going to be pathways, ADA accessible pathways in between the fields, so people can get back and forth between the fields on a paved ADA compliant surface. The bleachers will be ADA compliant as well, so significant upgrades all around, but certainly in the ADA realm.
Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of discussion amongst the Select Board and certainly our Affordable Housing Committee and housing advocates about utilizing the real estate taxes and helping year-round residents and trying to influence and increase year-round rentals. And one of those, so for many years the town has been looking at a residential real estate tax exemption, which would in effect everything, there's exceptions to every rule, but in effect it would lessen the impact on residential taxpayers who are there year-round, and change it a little bit for the people who are not year-round. You want to talk a little bit about where we are in that process? I mean, it's not something that you can just turn a switch and it happens.
Yeah, so we have been talking about this for a couple of years at least, maybe even longer than that. One of the challenges is that to implement a successful residential property tax exemption requires a little bit additional staffing. So that was a challenge, and we were kind of staffing challenge and a shortage in the assessor's office and in the finance department in general. But I think most importantly beyond that was the software. Without a robust financial management software, it was going to be near impossible to successfully implement that type of a residential property tax exemption program. So, as many folks remember, last year, town meeting approved a little over $1 million to acquire this new financial enterprise software system, Tyler Munis, which is going to put us in a good position to be able to implement that program. And we're looking at realistically, no earlier than fiscal year 28 to bring on that program with the additional staffing, one staffing position that's been identified.
So, I just want to swing back to the ball fields. I meant to ask, as far as when we expect kids will be playing on those fields. What date is it that we're looking for? I think
so it's
spring 2027.
Spring 27, I think, is kind of the target, provided everything continues to go smoothly, and it has, and we don't anticipate that's going to change. But yeah, it's spring of 27 is kind of the target.
Yeah, good, wonderful.
So another year using the alternate fields. But I want to thank our park superintendent and recreation director for putting together, I think, some really outstanding alternative fields for the kids to play on.
Yeah, it's a really great collaboration between the rec department, DPW, and the youth baseball people. They've been wonderful. They do a lot of the work themselves, and they're always willing to pitch in and do whatever's necessary. So it's really been a very successful collaboration. So getting back to real estate taxes, the board heard a presentation about a tax exemption that was put into state statute in 2023 that is a tax exemption for landlords that are willing to rent their homes year-round. And want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So it's like you said, relatively new program in the Commonwealth, and certainly first time being considered, to my knowledge, here in Falmouth, but other communities, I think Provincetown, and there's a few others that have successfully implemented.
Egremont out in the western part of the state.
As I understand it, it involves a credited amount that a person that has, and I'll just use it for an example, a person that is currently has their home listed as a short-term rental would be given a credit, a tax credit, so to speak, and to incentivize them to transition from a part-time, seasonal type of short-term rental to a long-term rental, which, as we all know, long-term rental properties are in huge demand. The inventory of those properties is not high in Falmouth.
Yeah, what's really great about this program is that it allows the town to really set the parameters as to how we want to, put this into effect, whether how we want to compute the exemption, and it's really just as I said the other night at the meeting, I think it's just a win-win. It's a no-brainer as far as what the cost is to the town. Of course, there's going to be a small cost because that property is going to not pay its real estate taxes, but we're going to get a year-round rental out of it. So the, and we do as many as we feel we can assimilate into our operating budget, our budget. But the example is that if you have a house that is, assessed at $5,000 a year, we would get a year-round rental that might not otherwise have been a year-round rental for that $5,000, and having a year-round rental, is worth a lot more than $5,000, a year to the town.
It definitely is, and as we all know, one of the struggles that we are dealing with regards to affordable housing, increasing the inventory, obviously, but also trying to be environmentally conscious and not clearing a lot of land. So that one of the benefits in my mind with this program is that it's an existing home that you're transitioning into an affordable home.
Right, you're not damaging property, you're not disturbing the trees and so forth, and it's a current turnkey situation. You don't have to wait 2.5 years, to see that money result in a rental house for a family that needs. And we can set, as I said, we set the amount, we can set some parameters as to who qualifies and so forth. Really a great program. And staying on housing, and this is a little bit of a curveball because we didn't discuss it before.
That's all right.
But we just got some really very good news yesterday from the state of New York. I'm sorry, I am a New Yorker, but still a wash ashore. But from the executive office here in the Commonwealth for housing, Mr. Augustus sent us a letter, and you want to tell the community.
Sure,
I don't think most people will know it.
So as you mentioned, the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, the commissioners sent a letter to Falmouth, but other town managers as well, indicating that the town of Falmouth has been brought into or designated as a seasonal community. And that program is completely new, and we're still going through some of examining the regulations and the impacts. But it's going to be being designated a seasonal community. Getting that on April town meeting warrants, and allowing town meeting to consider approval of Falmouth applying for that designation. I think it's going to be huge for us. Opens up a lot of opportunities in terms of affordable housing.
we can some preference for certain types of employees and certain types of and artists.
Municipal employees,
Yeah,
looking at that.
So it's really a great program. But just to be clear, what we'll be dealing with in April is really opting in and saying, yes, we accept the designation, and then there's going to be a process beyond that where we're going to have to discuss to what extent we're comfortable in implementing what this designation requires, in particular some modifications to our zoning code with respect to placement of homes where tiny homes and so forth. So this is really just the beginning of the discussion about seasonal communities, but it's something we've been waiting for. We thought when the governor came out with this designation early on, we thought we would be part of it, along with, I think 8 or 9 other towns on the Cape that did not meet the level that you had to meet to be automatically a seasonal community, but with a lot of advocacy by housing advocates and our representative, our state delegation. We were able to convince the administration that all these towns should be at least eligible and give them an opportunity to buy into it. So a great program, and more to come, with respect to that. So, and then really the final big issue that we discussed that has been here and around a couple of times, twice since I've been on the board, and once before that, and that has to do with the rail to trail. And we have a very active bike and pedestrian committee and constituents who absolutely love the bike trail. And Falmouth has a very small gap, about
1.6 miles, I think.
Something, it may even be a little less than that, but that could connect in Bourne and then out to Cape Canal. And, but there have been concerns, justifiable concerns raised. Well, there are two ways to approach it: was rail to trail or rail with trail. The difference being the rail to trail would require removal of the F2 track spur.
Correct.
And the rail with trail would not require removal.
Both would coexist, right?
They would coexist, but the concern with the second option has always been the cost because of wetlands and bridges that would have to be constructed and so forth. So it's always been felt that the rail to trail was probably a lot less, definitely less expensive to do, but there's always been this concern about lifting up the track at the same time. So the select board voted for me to send a letter to the administration expressing our support for the rail to trail, which was different from what the board had decided back in 2023, where we were supportive of the rail with trail concept. But that acknowledging those justifiable concerns that many people have raised with respect to the track and the need for emergency possibilities, trash and evacuation, the military and so forth, what we have sent to the governor is a conditional letter supporting the rail to trail, but asking the governor at the same time to come up with a plan in its transportation plans to bring us into the 21st century for rail, so that we could basically have both the rail to trail, but with a good plan and hopefully a finished product and funding for 21st century rail. It's very important, to the entire tourism as well as just year-round residents, that we have some kind of rail connection to the mainland, if you will. So I think that's about it. I think
it was a busy month, wasn't it?
It was a very busy month, and you know, now we will meet again on January 5th. So certainly want to wish everyone a happy holiday season and a good and prosperous and healthy new year. And we will see you in the new year when we are going to try to change the format of this program a little bit. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in January.
Happy holidays, everyone.